grab a beer and pull up a chair. Welcome to the Northwoods Beer Guy Podcast. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Northwoods Beer Guy Podcast. This is Mike, the Northwoods Beer Guy. And as always, I am joined by Jim.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Another exciting day.
Yep. We are, I think, officially getting into the dog days of summer.
Yes.
It's been warm,
Toasty.
humid.
Looks like toasted oats.
All the things I don't like.
Yes.
You know?
I can actually see in some of your fields around here, looks like they're starting to get a little bit of heat pressure on them.
Yeah.
Drying out a little bit.
You know, they started off this spring. They didn't look very good, I thought. And then they got, well, I thought pretty good. And like you said, now they're getting to the point, I think they're getting a little stressed, possibly. I don't know. There's another gentleman that's actually farming my field, but I look at it and go, I don't know.
Yeah, you can kind of tell when you look out there now, the color's a little bit different.
It's not that nice dark green, you know, on the soybeans. So we'll see what happens. But
I'm sure the deer still like it either way.
Oh, they're in there every night.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that part.
They don't distinguish between heat stress and...
Apparently not.
Yeah.
You thought the deer would have learned that. The parents would have taught them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm guessing, well, we'll get into this in a little bit.
Okay.
This week, we're doing a little bit of a different podcast. We're going to do a head-to-head comparison.
Ooh, we got a third person?
We got a third beer.
Oh, not a third person.
No, just the two persons, but three beers.
There you go. All right.
And these are all ones, I know we've had two for sure on the podcast, and I can't remember the first one if we probably have, but we've never actually really compared them head-to-head.
Okay.
You know,
and why are we comparing them head-to-head?
For something to do.
But I mean, are they the same style or the same brewery?
No, they're different breweries.
Okay.
So we've got, I'll tell you what they are. First off, from Hillsboro, Brewing in Hillsboro, Wisconsin, we have Badger Sweat.
Okay.
And that is a vanilla bean milk stout.
Okay.
Now, I always figured that Badger Sweat was kind of their version of Buffalo Sweat from Tallgrass.
Okay.
So we have a Tallgrass Buffalo Sweat, and that's out of Kansas.
Yep.
Actually, Wichita, Kansas now.
Okay.
And that's an oatmeal cream stout.
All right. That's so far so good.
And then I thought, well, we can't just have two.
Okay.
You know, we got to have something else. So we're going to be even more local. And we've got an Oscars from Sand Creek, which is in Black River Falls, Wisconsin. Now, this is a chocolate oatmeal stout. So they're technically not the same, but they're real close.
Very close.
And, you know, Buffalo Sweat and Oscars has always kind of been my just go-to.
Standby.
Yeah. You know, like an easier drinking stout. When Tallgrass quit making Buffalo Sweat, then I switched to Oscars being that go-to. You know, I had a Badger Sweat this weekend, and I thought, you know, we should just compare them just to see how they compare to each other. You know, and we can still give a score, or, you know, what we can do is just go first, second, third in this comparison.
We could do that.
So we've only got three beers, and honestly, the reason we only have three beers is we have some information to talk about.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. So if you remember, just a few days ago on Tuesday, you had kind of a interesting, kind of a special day, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I thought we should maybe talk about it and tell the folks what went on.
All right, we could do that.
So what did you do on Tuesday to start with?
All right. So we were recognized by the state of Wisconsin, we being the Olson family, because we have had our farm in continuous family, the same family ownership for more than 150 years.
Wow.
So we received let me make sure I say this right, sesquicentennial farm award program at the Wisconsin State Fair on Tuesday.
Awesome. So now, is it just 150 years, or has it been a few more years? Do you know?
So that's an interesting question. And the reason why it's interesting is because we have records that show when the Olson family immigrated from Norway to the United States. And we actually have some of the historical documents from the town they lived in. Okay. Which shows that they left there in 1860.
Okay.
And then the challenge is then the first recorded, like actually written down documentation here in the United States is 1874.
Okay.
So you and I both know it didn't take 14 years for that ship.
Right. That would really be a slow boat.
Right. And I don't know if they would have survived, so
Right.
I know that, but the hard part is they didn't like leave a diary or.
But even like in the county register's office or anything, they don't have.
So the only thing that is there, because I did this research there, was the census.
Oh, okay.
So that shows census that they were, and it's 18 every 10 years. So 1860, there was nothing, but 1870, it does show that they.
So odds are in the 1860s, at some point is when they probably got, I don't want to say bought the farm. That sounds terrible, but that they started on the farm.
Right.
And, interesting.
So but the challenge that I think I've seen is that it looks like, from what I found, is that the Olson family was one of the very first settlers in the Leon Valley area, part of Monroe County.
Nice. Okay.
So there was, I think, just one other gentleman. He was a logger from New York.
Wow.
Who had moved there in the 1840s.
Okay.
And his name was James Cannon.
Ergo Cannon Valley. I had no idea. I was going to ask you that,
right.
how that came about too. So
he actually married one of my, the first people that moved over. It was a husband, wife, and children. And when the girls got old enough, she married James Cannon and is buried all three of them are buried in a small plot out by the farm.
Wow. That's interesting. Now, when they first settled there, did you find out how many acres the farm was to begin with? Do you know that? Or is that another kind of tough thing to find?
It looks, so the challenge with that one, doing a lot of research, it was a little tough to figure out all these, because I wanted to know myself too.
Right.
The way that they would articulate a lot of these was like the half of a section or a quarter of a quarter of a quarter. Like today they talk about parcel numbers.
Yep.
There were no parcel numbers then. It was all, they tried to keep it in the dimensions of the 640 acre section.
Right. Yep.
So it appears that there was about 300 acres
initially. Okay.
And it looks like, and again, that the challenge was they would use topographical or geographical boundaries rather than like today where we have we use a straight azimuth. There were no straight lines in the way the farm was put together.
Right.
One of the boundaries was considered a creek.
Oh, really?
And that's still one of the boundaries today. And then actually another one, when you look in the deed, it talks about that the right-of-way, which today is supposed to be 66 feet, was wide enough for a team of 4 horses.
Oh, really?
Right. That's how it's written in the deed.
That's wild. Huh. Yeah, it is pretty crazy when you think about how far we've come in just that, the surveying and all that kind of stuff too. So now this, like you said, was back in probably the 1860s.
Right.
Man, you think about it. So Wisconsin had only been a state for
since 1848, less than 20 years.
Yeah, not that many years. The Civil War was just over. Wow, that's pretty wild. So they moved here from Norway,
right?
You said, okay. And now I'm sure when they first got here, of course, it was set up. Was it always, did they always have crops, or was it a farm, or was it more just, like they built a house and then it was all wooded and then they started to grow stuff, or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just kind of interested to see how it's transitioned from when it was probably forest to today. So
from my understanding, because my father actually seen the original cabin that they built. So that was, I think, the very first, they must have, from what he remembered, got to the current farm in a springtime. And it was fully wooded, and they were able to use the existing trees to build that first cabin. Because I think 6 of them that lived in that first cabin. And then they eventually started clearing some of the land because it's also, part of it's, got the swamp with it. So there wasn't a lot of trees, so I'm sure they started next to the creek
front and worked their way,
and then worked their way into So I think there was some that was open already, but I think were always working on trying, because once they built the first house, and then with those parents, when they passed away, then it'd be my great grandparents, Jens and Caroline. They had 12 children, so they had to get a bigger house.
Oh, sure.
So then they built, and right now our neighbor still uses it as a hunting cabin. That house is still there.
And I have seen that, and it's pretty incredible, honestly, to think it's that old.
Right.
You know,
from the 1800s.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, especially in Wisconsin with the winters and, you know what I'm saying, all that kind of stuff. It's not like it's easy to preserve things.
What's even more interesting is I can remember growing up and walking by that house, and I was before I joined the military, and I can still remember walking by, all the windows are broke out, and having cows walking through that house, and they were. You could see the cows.
Wow.
So it wasn't like, you know, it was very well preserved.
Right.
It had been left open and unkept for 25, 30 years.
And then the neighbor...
He took it over.
Okay.
And got it refurbished and then I know he still uses the stove to heat the house and to cook his food on it too when he's there hunting.
Because there's no electricity.
Or running water.
Right. Because I remember they have like a, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like the water thing on the...
Yeah, it's like a little hose. It comes from the spring.
From a spring, and it runs into like a big bucket, and it kind of, then the overflow goes.
And that's nice and cold water.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, on that, we need something cold to drink.
There you go.
So we're going to start with Hillsboro Badger Sweat. Now, Hillsboro is in Hillsboro, Wisconsin.
Yep.
And the first time that I ever went there, and I think you guys were there with us at one time. Remember, it was on the corner right in town.
Yeah, it was downtown.
And it was a nice building, but I mean, it was pretty small. They had a lot of old kind of
memorabilia stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool. Well, they've since expanded. Apparently, they're doing well because they bought. I don't know what was initially.
I think it was a creamery.
Is that what it was? I say it's a pretty good sized building.
Yeah. Two floors,
and upstairs they have for wedding dances and things like that. And then down on the main floor, it's of course the bar. You can get food there and things like that. And it's quite an impressive building now compared to the old one.
And they didn't really do a lot of remodeling. They didn't like put drywall up. It's just pretty much the old wood the way it was.
Yes, and that's what I always think is cool.
Right.
You know, because remember
things old.
A few weeks ago when we were in Lanesboro at what was the name of it? Sylvan. Remember, and that inside was really cool because it was that old wood and all that kind of stuff. So if you're out there listening, people, when you start a brewery or a bar area, you know, like that tap room, that's how it should be.
Right. Nice.
Really cool.
Right. That's going to attract more people.
Yeah, at least up here. So
yeah, well, you can smell the
you can definitely
sweeter.
Yeah, you can kind of smell like the roasted malt for sure. A little bit of a coffee hint of a coffee flavor, a little bit.
But it's not overly flavorful.
No.
It's a little bit on the muted side.
I would agree with you. It's kind of...
It's not offensive.
You can drink it.
Right. But
I can drink it, but...
I think if you're looking for a little bit more flavor...
Yeah.
Because I guess I was kind of expecting, you know, vanilla bean milk stout. I don't know if I even taste the vanilla.
That was what I was just going to say. I don't know if I get much vanilla out of it. And that's when we go back to if it's on the can, it should be in the can.
Right.
You know, and I just wish that it was a little more pronounced. I'm trying to look here and just see what ABV is 6%.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And they have a little write-up. It's just like our brewery. This great state of ours was founded on the blood, sweat, capital S, sweat and tears of the men and women. We're excited to bring you vanilla bean milk stout. So kind of...
I guess the milk stout part of it, does taste smooth.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, there's a smoothness for the mouthfeel, but not an overly amount of flavor.
Not really. Kind of a bummer. A little bit. You know, when I had it this weekend, I had a couple of them. That's the only beer I had. You know what I mean? So you weren't...
Right.
You know, and now sitting here looking at the other two going, you know, I don't mind it. You know, I can definitely drink it.
It's not bad.
Yeah. So that's our first contestant.
Yes.
Well,
so did you want to? Should we do scores, or would you? Or you just want to do 1, 2, 3, or what?
I think on this one we could probably just do first, second, and third. Don't you think? Because
that's fine.
And honestly, I should say I think anybody could drink it.
Oh yes.
You know, it's not. You don't have to be, you know, well versed in bourbon barrels or anything like that to drink this one. And I don't think if a new person tried it, I don't think they would consider it that it's like, oh man, that's way too dark or way too heavy a taste. My opinion, you know, they might still if they really, you know, but I mean, if you're looking to get into like a milk stout, I think that's a good one to start with.
Right. I mean, I wish there was a little bit more of that vanilla flavor.
Yeah.
I think that would give it a little bit, because we've had some pretty good vanilla stouts. And I mean, if they could just put that little bit more in there, I think that'd be great.
Yep. I agree 100% with you. All right. So getting back to the history of the farm, you said it was 300 acres and then now they sold some of that off, correct?
No.
They did not.
No. So what had happened was, so my great-grandfather, Jens and Caroline, when he passed away in, I think it was 1902, so it was then Caroline and her 12 children. And then she put in her will that when she passed away, the farm went to all 12 children.
Okay.
So then when she passed away, I think it was 1934, it got subdivided 12 ways.
times. Okay.
So then because there was a period of time, probably, I think it took 4 or 5 years for all those 12 kids to finally figure out what land they did want and what they didn't want. So it ended up with my grandfather, Walter, and his brother, William, taking over the main part of the farm. And then there's 3 siblings that were unmarried.
Okay.
Oscar, Johanna, and Harold.
Okay.
Oscar, Johanna, and Harold were the 3 that were unmarried that stayed at the farm. And they were, older, so they were able to help Caroline raising the kids. So then they actually took over 200 of the acres. And maybe it was a little under 200.
Those 3 did?
Right.
Okay.
That was actually put in their name. So nobody actually sold land, but it was just the way it was divided up among the 12. And then they were just all this dealing back and forth. And then, who would live where. And so it was a little, when you look at the deed, because of what's interesting, because I have an abstract, when they put all the deed paperwork together, how things were written, because, like your will is in there and everything. So it actually shows how what her thoughts were. And
oh, really? Wow. So that had to have been a pretty thick deed.
Well, and it's probably like an inch thick because it covers every single aspect.
Wow.
All the way back from, when Ulysses S. Grant signed the paperwork to give them that property.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
Right. So that's interesting.
So when they started off, did they grow crops? Do you know, when was the farm initially for crops, or did you have like livestock? So I guess how did that?
The way that I understand was they would always, they were pretty much self-sufficient. So they had a few cows, they had gardens, and then they would develop what other crops they needed so they could keep over the winter for those animals.
Yep. Okay.
And it wasn't like they were producing extra, but it may have been, with a family that large, they had to have quite a bit just to keep themselves going. And I think back then the money thing wasn't as necessary as what it is today. So they were always looking out for each other. Then I think there's a lot of trading and bartering at that point.
Oh, sure.
So like if you had extra milk, you could take that somewhere and get something back
from somebody else and vice versa. I do have one question. Do you think they put that scary bridge in back then?
No, actually, if you ask your mother-in-law, that was not the case.
Oh, really?
No, it was actually, they just kind of sloped off the sides of the
really? And just drove down?
Right through.
Really?
And then in the springtime, it was even worse.
So at Jim's farm, I always joke with him because he has a bridge over the creek.
Right.
And my wife was always kind of the same way, that when she was younger, she would like make them stop so she could get out, and she'd walk across before they drove across. And it's always kind of funny because you drive across and I'm always like, oh, okay, I made it. Because when you're in a truck, you can't really see the sides. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of funny. I'd rather drive, though, over the bridge than have to try and drive down through the creek.
Right.
So.
And especially then when it would, they didn't have the machinery like we do now to make a nice slope, or it was just mud. So I'm sure, I think, actually, I was talking to Joyce at the state fair. She'd even mentioned that her uncle gave her a ride in a buggy from the house to where she was going to get picked up by the bus. And the buggy was actually scraping the bottom of the buggy. So it was at least 2 to 3 feet. It had sunk in the mud.
Oh, my word.
And then the horse got him out, so she didn't have to get muddy going over to wait for the bus.
Now, I do remember she had said told that to Susie and I the one time. I'm sure she told you, where she said that the kids on the bus would make fun of her because she was in a horse and buggy when they picked her up. And when she told her dad that, he had said that, mark my words, someday people will be paying to ride in a buggy. And she said, I've actually done that twice, where she's paid to ride a horse and buggy. So it is kind of funny.
Comes around.
When you think about it.
Makes a circle.
Now, I know, like you said, you've had, your dad, of course, had draft horses. I believe you said you had dairy cows at one time, or the farm did, and then they went to beef cattle. But crop-wise, the thing that really was amazing to me, because when I think of Wisconsin, I don't think tobacco.
Okay.
But they grew tobacco on the farm.
Yes, I think that was actually one of the first crops that they were using as a cash crop.
Okay.
To actually make money. But tobacco is a very labor intensive.
Oh, is it?
So there's not many. I think even when you plant it, because I've seen some of the old tobacco planters that be pulled behind either horses or a tractor, but a person had to sit on a seat right at ground level, individually planting each of the tobacco seedlings into the ground.
No thanks.
And then, part of their job would always be out there going on to hoe.
Oh, sure.
And then to harvest it, you'd have to be by hand.
Well, I suppose you think back in the day, you probably couldn't spray pesticide or any.
They didn't have any of that stuff.
Right. But even that, you wouldn't want to spray that on tobacco, I wouldn't think, because that would be some chemicals on there,
You'd be inhaling, so yeah. I'm sure they didn't have any of that.
That's wild, because like I said, I don't picture Wisconsin being, you think down south.
Right.
So I don't know how...
But what's interesting, you will see, I don't know if I've seen it so much around here, but like towards the farm, there is wild tobacco growing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can see it all over.
Okay.
If you know what to look for.
Probably remnants of what was grown out there before.
Right, because part of one of the steps in the tobacco process is at just before it's completely ripe, there'll be a bunch of seeds at the top. And they have to go through and cut that part of the seeds off and dispose of those.
Interesting. So they just grew
I'm
where
sure
they fell.
One of those fell, or maybe it was just outside the field.
Yep.
And then it turned, just like weeds are growing out there.
And I suppose now when that gets mature now, they just fall off the plant and they start the next year.
Yes.
So, all right. Crazy. Well, we're going to go to the next beer.
All right.
This one is Buffalo Sweat. We really don't have a whole lot we need to say about it. I'm hoping.
No, I always thought that was a pretty good standby.
Yep. And then I was really upset when they quit making it.
Right.
But now they brought it back, and I have not seen it yet in Wisconsin or Minnesota.
Oh,
you can get it in Iowa.
Okay,
so I'm hoping that eventually they're expanding this way. So
it gets back to their normal distribution.
Yeah,
well, that smells pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. And this is an oatmeal cream stout, so they don't really say vanilla,
right?
But this one definitely has a little sweeter flavor than the Badger Sweat.
Yeah. They're both very smooth, but this is a little bit sweeter, I think.
Yeah, that's still
pretty good.
That's still pretty good.
I mean, I definitely give it a little bit of a step up from the first from Hillsboro.
Yep. And this one here, I think anybody could drink it, but I think a lot of people that as soon as they see the color of the beer, they're instantly turned off.
Right.
So they won't even give it a fair shot. But again, I think this is one anybody could try, and it's good. I like it.
Yeah, you might actually want to have another can if you try this.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you there. I mean, that is good. And like I said, I just always thought it was something that it's Buffalo Sweat, and then all of a sudden Badger Sweat came out. So I was like, okay, is this their kind of version?
Right.
I don't know for sure, but they're both good.
Yeah. So I do have one final thing to wrap up about tobacco.
Okay.
That we kind of maybe touched on a little bit earlier. And that deals with, and I didn't even know this at the time, but they did, like we talked about, plant tobacco and harvest tobacco on the farm. I had never seen that for me growing up. So from the 60s on forward, I never saw that.
Okay.
But apparently, when my grandfather passed away in 1968 was the last year that they actually did tobacco.
Okay.
And the reason why I know that, there's actually, when my grandpa passed away, it was like, I think the end of July that year. So then it was just a few weeks later, they were doing the harvest, and all the neighbors from the valley had came, and they took a picture out in front of the house of all the people that were helping harvest tobacco that day.
Really?
And I was, only a year and a half old, so I was running through the picture. I wasn't standing still, but I actually had my great-grandmother, who was from Eau Claire from my mother's side.
Okay.
That had never, it's not even from a farm. And she knew that they were doing it that day, so she came out.
Huh.
But the other interesting part was that nobody had ever done tobacco at the farm since.
Okay.
It was 1968. And in the early 2000s, my dad was notified by the County Farm Service Agency, the FSA, that the state wanted to buy back our tobacco credits. And I was not quite sure what a tobacco credit was.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what exactly is a tobacco credit?
So apparently, from my understanding, was that each farm was allocated so many credits, and that's as much tobacco as you could grow. So credit, I think, amounted to an acre.
Oh, okay.
The way I believe it, because I didn't see the tobacco.
Yep.
So apparently they had around 20 acres was their. That didn't mean they had to plant that much, but that was the most that they could plant.
Okay.
So apparently that's how they regulated so that the tobacco industry didn't get overloaded with a whole bunch of tobacco. They kept it. Everybody had, a certain amount based on how many acres you had. So in the early 2000s, the state bought my dad and my credits back from us. I think it was only maybe like we were each getting like $100 a year.
Okay.
For like 10 years. So it wasn't anything great, but it was just that they were paying us back. So now the farm does not have.
You're officially out of the tobacco business.
But we don't have the tobacco shed anymore or anything like that. So you can kind of see those. Well, there's still a few tobacco sheds around, but not many.
I think that one of the first times that I was out at the farm, there was was it a tobacco planter that was out in the.
Way in the back.
It was a planter, right?
Right.
And I remember going, what's that?
Really, it just looked like metal wheels with a 55-gallon barrel in the middle.
Yep, exactly. You're like, they use that to plant tobacco. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it does. It didn't look like much.
No, that's for sure.
You're just riding almost right on the ground. It looked.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of work. I'm glad you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if but they must have made money from that because that was, other than selling their milk, that was the only other cash crop that they were doing.
Huh, that's wild. So now, when I listened to the interview you did was it Midwest Agri?
Midwest Farm Report.
Midwest Farm Report. Now, you're the 6th generation.
Right.
So that's wild when you think of just that many years, how many farms how many farms have come and gone.
Right.
So I mean, the nice thing is it's been successful. I mean, you've been able to keep it that long, and the way of the world, I mean, there's people that come in and, throw money around like crazy, and it's impressive that it was never sold.
Right.
Now, one thing I was going to say is I remember the first time that I went there from then until now, and that's been 22 years, 24 years ago, maybe. You've done a lot of work, and the fields, I can remember, it was shorter.
Right.
Because you took that fence out. So it's longer now. And then you've widened out. I think every year you're out there cutting trees and branches and keep pushing it back. And it's now I know when your dad was farming, he used cows. Oh my word. He was using horses to plant.
Yes.
Boy, that would have been. And I mean, just the amount of field that he planted, I thought was an incredible amount with horses.
Right.
But now what you've, it's kind of grown to that way for around here anyway. I mean, it's, a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's a hobby farm or whatever. But I mean, it's a good amount of acreage. So you got to use farm equipment,
right?
To do that. So like I said, it's just an incredible, the difference that I've seen from the first time I went out there to now, where it's impressive. I mean, that's a lot of work. So I give you credit. Way to go.
And I think part of the other part of farming too is you have to be smart how you farm, because all of my equipment is 30, 40 years old. It's not anything brand new. If I bought all brand new equipment, granted I could probably do things even quicker, more efficient, but the payments for all that new equipment is astronomical.
Right. Staggering.
So I guess since I'm not like farming thousands and thousands of acres, it's only, I think total the tillable is between 60 and 70 acres.
Yep.
So it's a manageable amount, but I think you have to make sure you're making the right decisions about your farm, because the machinery's out there. You could spend a lot of money,
millions,
right?
But
just being smart about what you buy and how you maintain it and take care of it. I think you can go a long ways, because, that's usually when I talk to some of the mechanics, they ask me, do you want brand new stuff? Or I usually say, let's just make sure I can get by, because I'm only harvesting 20 or 40 acres.
Right.
It's not like I'm doing a lot, but it's just keeping it in a good condition.
Yep. It's still workable.
Right.
And now you have corn, soybeans, and hay.
Yep.
Yeah. So the animals that you're really feeding are the deer.
Right.
and they sure like to eat.
Yeah. There are almost too many of those things out there now.
Yeah. Well, hey, we'll taste this last beer, and then I'd like you to kind of give us a little rundown of what went on Tuesday.
Okay.
If you would, because you had to go to the state fair. You're recognized at the state fair. And so I find that interesting. My wife was able to go, and my mother-in-law, which is your aunt,
right,
also went, and because she'd have been the 5th generation.
Right.
So I'd just kind of like to find out, so what went on, and that kind of thing. So before we do that, though, we're going to go to Black River.
All right.
And we're going to do a little Oscars.
Right down the road.
Right down the road.
Now, this is a little bit bigger can,
This is Sand Creek. And boy, I foamed yours up big time. So we'll have to wait for a minute. Sand Creek, for a while, that's what they were really known for, right. I think, was Oscars. And then for a little while, they weren't making it. And when all of a sudden I saw it back in the store, it was 4 16-ounce cans.
Oh.
Yeah, they weren't doing it. It wasn't a 6-pack, but it was 4 16-ouncers.
Right.
So that's what we got today. We got a 16-ounce can. And this one, like I said before, is a chocolate oatmeal stout.
All right.
You can feel the, quote unquote, feel the difference between the milk stout and the cream stout. And then this one. It's not quite as smooth.
Right. But that chocolate gives it a nice little flavor.
I was going to say that chocolate makes up for it. I think that is a good beer.
And, I know that we don't have that for this episode, but they do have this on nitro, which makes it even
smoother.
You can get in trouble drinking out nitro because that is really good.
And they had one time that I was up there, I'm trying to remember if you were up there at the same time, but they had made a mint Oscars for, it was, I don't know, it was for a wedding or something like that. And they had some left. So they had it on tap for like maybe a week.
Oh, wow.
And we were up there and I actually bought a growler of it. And I believe that Ron, my brother-in-law, pretty much helped me finish that off in one sitting.
It was mint chocolate.
It was mint chocolate oatmeal stout. And that was unbelievable. And they've never had it since.
See, what's weird is, with the craft beer, you would think that, boy, it has a very good taste. Well, they can sell a lot of it. Let's produce it again.
Yeah. And you just wonder, I'm sure it was more expensive just because they had to put mint in it, but still, it was really good.
Yeah.
And
that's what you want, is what your customers think has a good flavor.
Exactly. So yeah, this one, dude,
this is still good.
It's a good one. It's, like I said, it's not as smooth because it doesn't have that milk or the cream kind of feel to it. But boy, the chocolate makes up for that.
Yeah, it's really
good. And again, anybody could drink it if they're willing to. I mean, give it a fair shot.
Right.
And I think anybody would like.
I mean, there's nothing, I guess maybe we're biased, but I don't think there's anything negative about the beer.
Right. Not really. I can't think of anything either. So interesting. All right. Well, now we've tried all three. We'll let it stew a little bit. Then when we come back to the beers, then we will here's our order, the way we position them. So anyway, let's get back to Tuesday.
Okay.
And so you went to Milwaukee for the state fair, and that's where they were. Now, did you have to contact them and turn stuff in to say, hey, we've had it for 150 years, or did they contact you, or how did that process?
So I knew that every year they did the awards at the state fair.
Okay.
What my challenge was, another one of the challenge was that my father, and I think both of his sisters, Jane and Joyce, and his mother, Alice, those 4 went in 1985 for the Century Award. So when I started doing my research, I'm like, well, they didn't get the farm in 1885. They got it in 1875. So it was like 10 years earlier. So what I don't know is, why did they wait till 1985 to ask for the 100 years? So that's why we're not 50 years from 85, which would be 2035. We're 40 years.
Okay.
And what I did was I went to the county register of deeds and I talked to the ladies there. I mean, because there's a whole staff there. And I told them what I was working on, and they actually had the forms there too to help me. So they helped me go through and find all the original documents, because all the original documents are on file in the county register of deeds office. And we found all the people, we found all the, everything that was ever turned into the county as an official document, they have a copy of it.
Okay.
So that's how I was able to get started. And they actually had the forms and stuff for me to fill out. So we were able to fill it out and turn it in to the state, because as long as the register of deeds looked at it, the state then took the register of deeds word as it was legitimate. Okay,
gotcha. All right, so then you sent that to the farm, or what?
I don't know if there's actually. I think it was. I honestly don't know.
So it's some organization anyway,
right? I don't know if it was the state fair or if it was, because it didn't seem like it was the state itself. It was. I think it was more the state fair.
Oh, okay.
I think that's who's. And then they have all these other sponsors that were there helping support it.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you got there on Tuesday,
yep.
What went down? I mean, I guess, how did they present it? Or I'm guessing there was other people there for other farms as well. Okay. So
all right. So so a little bit of it was, I didn't realize until we got some of the paperwork, is that there were 30 farms, so 29 plus ours, that received the 150-year award.
Oh, wow.
And then that brought the total to only 1,065 farms ever from the state of Wisconsin that have got that 150-year award.
Wow.
Also, then there were 69 farms that received the century.
So 100 years, yeah.
Right. So, and I think it's almost, it's a little over 10,000 farms have received the century.
Okay.
So when you got there, you registered, had to put a little name tag on, and you got a little button.
Okay.
I think maybe we'll be able to show that.
Yeah, I've got. You sent me a picture, so I'll put pictures of that online.
So the button just said the sesquicentennial honoree, and then there was one for the century.
Okay.
And they actually, what was nice is they actually had a parking lot and then a gate for us to be able to, like, because Joyce doesn't walk that well. So, I mean, we only had to walk maybe 50 yards from the car through the gate.
Well, that's nice because normally you go to a state fair, you're parking way
a long walk.
Yeah.
And the tent was right there. So they had everything under a nice tent just by the gate. So it was real convenient. And they got us in. And I mean, I was truly amazed at how efficient everything was. I mean, as you sat down at the table, they already had the water, milk, coffee for you there, some breakfast rolls. And then when the lady said, all right, it's time for breakfast, they had a company that was doing the catering, and they served all, because each farm had 4 people.
Okay.
So it's probably 250 people. They had everybody served in under 5 minutes.
Oh, my word.
Their entire breakfast.
So it was, they brought the food to you?
You just sat there, they brought it right to you.
Oh, my word.
And everything was warm. I mean, everybody.
So it wasn't their first rodeo.
No, it was very well-oiled machine. I mean, it was very good. I mean, you know, food from Hillshire Farms had sausages, it was eggs. I mean,
Nice.
It was really good meal.
Okay.
Very efficient. And then after you get done with that, they came by, picked it all up. So, I mean, by their time, like, everything was like clicking off just like they wanted.
Okay.
So then after we ate, then they had a lot of people that were saying thank you, because you had the state fair people, Hillshire Farms, Compeer Financial, then Allison Dairyland was there. She talked fairs to the fair. I didn't know they even had that lady.
No. Well,
she goes to every county fair and the state fair.
Wow.
During her reign of.
So she's done with fairs after a while.
And then the Department of Ag, Trade, Consumer Protection. And then the last one was the lady that did the interview, the Midwest Farm Report.
Okay, yep.
So they all kind of, basically just saying thanks for, being a farmer, keeping everything egg related, because, Wisconsin is based so much on egg.
Correct, yes.
So that was that. And then they read off everybody's name by county, had everybody stood up, big clap. And then after that, it was finished. That took a little over an hour. We went to another tent. We got our plaque, and they took our picture.
Oh, nice. Okay. Because then you had sent me that they gave you like a certificate as well, like an award certificate commemorating the 150 years. And then you had another...
Like cardboard.
It almost looked like a license plate a little bit, but it was, again, about for 150. Because I know at your farm now, you already had the one for 100 years hanging up.
Right.
So, yeah, that'll look nice to have the 150 up there, too. So,
yeah, so, I mean, it was nice. I mean... The only difference was the 100-year was a tin sign that I think could be outside a little bit easier. This one's made out of like that. It was like it's not cardboard.
Okay. But it's some sort of, I kind of know what you're talking about. So, well, we have to keep it inside.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't think even if you had it enclosed, I don't know if it would be good outside.
Probably not.
You don't want to ruin it because you only get one. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that was pretty much, so from 8 o'clock to 10, so it was about 2 hours. And then after that, you already had your admission in, so you could go walk throughout the fair or state fair and see what else. I mean, this looking online, they had probably 30 different foods on a stick. If you were into that, you could have tried a lot of.
You could try a lot of foods on a stick, deep fried.
Yeah, I mean, all the way from they even had the frozen banana dipped in chocolate.
Did they?
Yes. So
oh boy,
you could have had that too, frozen.
Well, there you go.
You could have went from both extremes.
Yeah, there you go. You got to eat healthy when you're at the fair. So
yes.
Well, cool, man. Thanks for sharing that, because like I said, that's quite an accomplishment, and a lot of people will never be a part of something like that, And I know this episode's a little different because we were talking more about the farm, but again, it's pretty incredible,
right?
So that's why I thought we should. I wanted to give you, a shout out for that, because it's really cool. And you and I probably won't be here for the next 300th anniversary.
Or maybe not even 200.
Oh no, we'll be here for that. But so I mean, it's just it's a cool accomplishment. So I just wanted to say that's awesome. Way to go, and
thanks.
keep up the work.
I don't know if we'll be able to put it out there, but there is a link to the Midwest Farm Report, where it actually has the written history and when they interviewed us too. So
yeah, I'll see if I can link that somehow to where people can see it, and hear you talk to them about it. So, because I know you went into a little more detail on some of the stuff with that lady.
Right.
We're trying to keep it, moving a little bit
different.
And you didn't have to taste beers with her.
Right.
The important stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, getting back to the beers, man. I guess what are your thoughts? How would you lay this out as far as your ranking?
So for me, there's, I think, almost like a 1A, 1B. And then a number 2.
I am thinking we're thinking the exact same thing.
I like both the Oscars and the Buffalo Sweat. I don't know if I could differentiate between them very much. I mean, they're really, really so close together in all their attributes. The only thing that for the Hillsboro that sets it a little bit lower is the flavors are not nearly as strong as they're not. The other two are not over the top, but the Hillsboro is just a little bit muted and didn't come through like the first two.
Yep,
I don't know if that makes sense.
I agree 100%. I was thinking, in either way, I could flip flop either way.
Right.
For Buffalo Sweat and Oscars, because is the only difference is, do you want more of a chocolate taste or do you want a little bit of that creaminess?
Right.
And they're both really good. Hillsboro, it's still good, but I agree with you. Compared to those other two, the flavor is definitely muted a little bit. So I guess that's our order.
Yeah.
Either way, Buffalo Sweat and Oscars, however you want to flip them around.
Right hand, left hand, doesn't
matter.
And
then Badger Sweat. I think, again, you could drink any of them. Yeah. And they're good.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I like them.
I mean, I think the challenge you're going to find is that 2 of them are easy to find in Wisconsin. Yeah. You may have to do a little traveling.
You're going to have to go to probably Iowa or Kansas or some other places to get the Buffalo Sweat, unfortunately. But hey,
we know some peeps that
hopefully, luckily enough,
that brought us some.
Yeah, they brought us some. And then actually, like I said, my family lives close to Iowa. They're in Minnesota, but it's close to Iowa, and they found it in the town that's 5 miles away. So,
nice.
So they're able to get it there too. So, well, hey, Jim, there's one other thing that we've got more episodes coming up.
Okay.
This is August. You know what we're going to have to be on the lookout for?
I think it's getting that time of year.
Getting the fall time of the year. The last 2 years we've had August-toberfest.
Yep.
So I'm hoping we can find. It's going to be more difficult this year to find ones we haven't had.
Yes.
Because we went crazy last year.
Yeah, we had quite a few episodes, like
3 or 4, I think. I'd have to look back, but we had a bunch.
We might have to stretch way out to find some new stuff.
That, or we're going to have to hope that they're the 2025 versions.
Yeah, right.
So we can keep doing them.
They changed the recipe just a little bit.
Exactly. So we're going to have to be on the lookout for those. We do have some ideas for some other ones, and I think it's going to be an interesting comparison that we're looking at doing.
Okay.
And
am I invited?
Yeah, sure, if you want. Well, since I think they're the beers that you sent me a list of, you need to kind of be there.
All right, well, that makes even better.
You have them, so
makes even better then.
Yeah, Jim had sent me a list, and there's some really interesting beers on there, and it'll be good.
Yes.
So yeah, we've got that coming up. I guess we've got, what else do we got coming up? Well, Labor Day is coming up, a little ways away.
We might
have
a few bourbon barrel ones.
We're going to have some bourbon barrel ones. Before that, I'm sure, we'll see how it goes.
We might have to do that just so we can get some space so I can get some more
get some more cooling.
Yeah,
and then we'll have to be on the lookout again, of course, for pumpkin beers. I don't know if I've seen any yet.
I have,
but it's usually around the time Oktoberfest start popping out that some pumpkin ones should. So yeah, we're getting back into that time of year already. I can't believe it. This would be our 3rd August-toberfest
All right, well,
episode. So
we might actually know what we're doing now.
Well, I'm not saying that, but we're going to give her a good shot.
We're going to keep trying.
You got that right. Well, cool. Well, hey, Jim, thank you so much for sharing that information on the sesquicentennial.
Yes. Say that 5 times.
Yeah, I was practicing on the way home, and I messed it up. This is a better time I got it out. So
you did good.
Yeah. So that's cool, and I'm glad we could share that with the people. And again, look at any of these 3 beers; they're all really good.
Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with probably a little bit more of our normal episode, but I really wanted to focus this week on this awards. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. And like we always say, we hope your campfire is always warm
and your beers are always cold.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Northwoods Beer Guy podcast. If you have a question, a comment, or a beer you'd like us to review, please feel free to send us a message at northwoodsbeerguy@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're on Untapped, look up Northwoods Beer Guy and send a friend request. Until next week, I hope all your campfires are warm and all your beer is cold.